Okay, so as I was saying, um, yeah, so a bit of information, right? The parts of that, let's think about just large language models like LLMs. The words in that string, in that sentence, is every word is given a token that is giving it like contextual weight. The watershed paper on LLMs, if you want to go read it, is called "Attention Is All You Need," and it's worth a read because it basically is just describing like giving specific weights to elements of a string, and then saying like, oh well, this person said, make me a recipe for ratatouille, right? And the recipe and the ratatouille are getting the weight. It's going out and aggregating that text. It's sorting what is relevant to recipe and ratatouille, right? Based on those attention tokens. Does that make sense? This is very, very basic overview. And then it's making a series of decisions through complex algorithms to spit out something that hopefully is what you were looking for. Did anyone play around with AI tools when they were like brand new? Yeah, what did you notice when they were like first brand new? I'm talking like ChatGPT or Llama or do you want to share your experience?
Um, Basically put out a lot of nonsense sometimes.
Okay, it put out a lot of nonsense sometimes, right? We would say it hallucinated, right? Um, that is still common. You're less likely to encounter it nowadays with the updated training data on ChatGPT. Also, because things like if you're using Llama, like through Meta, if you're using ChatGPT directly, like you're going into the most recent version of all that training data, and you're less likely to get complete nonsense. Now, when I say nonsense, I mean a full breakdown of the system. I don't just mean simple hallucinations where it gets something wrong, right? I mean like full gibberish. Um, if you're interested in hosting LLMs locally, send me an email because this is completely possible with a software called Olama, and I've played around with it. And my little laptop can only handle like LLMs with a small number of parameters, which are basically describing the series of steps that tokens are assigned and then appraised. But yeah, I've gotten some that completely break down. I'll be like, "URJS Bach, tell me about this," and it just turns into complete gibberish. It's kind of delightful in a creative way, but completely unuseful. Anyway, unuseful if you're looking for actual data that's interesting. Well, that's the basic overview of how this stuff works. Now, we said that it went to the web, right? We said it went to the web for that data. Are the people who wrote the stuff being compensated for the trawling? No. No, it's just scooped up. And so here we are at a weird impasse on the internet, where on one hand, in my mind, the kind of open source mentality is like, yeah, open source, but there's a lot of intellectual property problems when it comes to just grabbing onto someone's book or someone's text or someone's music or things like that and throwing it into your training data, which is assigning the weights of the tokens in the LLM. That makes sense so far? So last year when I taught this, a lot of music generators were not as sophisticated. They've become much more sophisticated in more recent times. And so the stuff I was playing when you came in the room, the people who were here first, well, that was completely AI generated just now. Let's go visit it. Let's go visit it again. So here we are. I just made an account to prove to you here. Has anyone used Suno? There are so many of these. There's a stupid amount of AI startups that I had trouble remembering the ones that I used from last year to demonstrate this, because they're always popping up and changing all the time. But this one's called Suno, and I asked it to make a folk rock, acoustic folk rock anthemic are the words that I used, right? And it decided that if something was anthemic, it should have male vocals. Hey, hey, there's more to talk about here. But let's listen to the stuff it made, shall we? Shall we? We shall. I literally, I had it generate this at 1:20 this afternoon. This just happened.
Kicking stone down a broken lane, whispered stories where shadows remain, fists in pockets, dreams in my eyes, running from echoes, chasing the skies. Breath of the canyon, scream of the earth, fire in the distance where hope gives birth.
I'll put the lyrics up here when it boots up.
The heartbeat of the restless ground, lost in the wild, that's where we're found. Crack boots drown in the tired sand.
It's loading. Come on now.
Every step a fight, we make a stand. Muddy rivers flow through our skin, carrying the weight where it all begins.
Up here.
Breath of the canyon, scream of the earth, fire in the distance where hope gives birth.
I want to hear the bridge.
The heartbeat of the restless ground, lost in the wild, but that's where we're found. Faint winds hum like a spinning wheel, words unspoken, scars that heal. As we blaze the path in the sand free, the voice of the dust will always be me. Breath of the canyon, scream of the earth,
I want to see how it ends.
fire in the distance where hope gives birth, where the heartbeat of the restless ground, lost in the wild, but that's where we're found.
Okay, so that's version 1, but it made 2 of them. So here's the other one. I don't want to hear this. Go away. This is the other one it made. It made 2 songs called Roads of Dust, sure.
Kicking stones down the broken lane, whispered stories where shadows remain. Fists in pockets,
I'm gonna let it go because
dreams in my
this one has an error I want us to hear.
running from echoes, chasing the skies. Breath of the canyon, scream of the earth, fire in the distance where hope gives birth, where the heartbeat of the restless ground, lost in the wild, but that's where we're found.
Check your volume, please.
Faint winds hum like a spinning wheel. Words unspoken, scars that heal. As we blaze the path, endless and free, the voice of the dust will always be me. Breath of the canyon, scream of the earth, fire in the distance where hope gives birth. With the heartbeat of a restless ground, lost in the wild, but that's where we're found. Faint winds hum like a spinning wheel.
Wait. Did you hear it kind of top out there? Now, whether that's the voice encoder, how do I say this? Kind of reaching the outer edge of its imitation, or if it's actually grabbing onto auto-tune that the training data has heard. I'm not quite sure, but it's one of those things. So, okay, what do you think of this? Anybody? Huh? It is pretty accurate.
It kind of outlines like the basics of a song, I guess, having chorus, bridge, verse, and like the outline.
It has the outline. Yes. We're gonna experiment a little more, and then we're gonna, I haven't used this tool. Let's see. I wanna see, what I can get it to do. Let's do, Oedipus wonders if there are tickets I misspelled Oedipus. Hello. For the Minecraft movie. I can't type today, I'm sorry. Wow. For the Minecraft movie. Dreams of Chicken Jockey. Ooh, baby, lava chicken ringing my bell. Whatever, man. Let's see what it does. I haven't played with this. Updated successfully. I don't know what's gonna happen. I'm sorry, y'all. I can't type today. Where is my mind? The coffee has not hit. It has not hit yet. I don't know if it's going to update the audio file though, is the thing. I need to see. I might have to regenerate it. I don't think it will, but we'll find out. Nope, I have to regenerate it. Let's see. No, what I have to do here, I have to go back and do this. Let's do this. Let's do acoustic folk rock anthem. Make the first verse about Oedipus wanting to see the Minecraft movie and dreaming of Chicken Jockey. Everything's ridiculous. Okay, here we go. Let's see what it does. It's going to take a second. So we said this thing about it's got the form, right? It's got the outline, I think was the word that was used. Here it comes. All right. Wow, this is going to be bad. Okay, so I just want to say this has come a very long way since the last time I talked about this in class a year ago. I don't want that. That one. Great. Make it happen.
Eyes wide with a pixel dream in view. Headache pill stands confused, doesn't have a clue.
Why not?
Visions haunt his sleep, ride endless streams, chasing chicken jockey madness, tearing through his dreams. Oh, the cold runs deep in his pixelated mind. No escape, no rewind, tied to what he'll find. Freedom in the blocky lands where the torches glow.
Modal mixture.
Jockey run where they go.
It had that major too. It had that secondary dominant. Did you hear that? Hilarious.
Stone cold daylight movies.
My player is stuck there. Okay. Okay, so what's up with that? Now, okay, so that's cute. That's funny. Just for why didn't you say my silly thing? And it's gone. Still there. That's fine. Let's create something a little more complex. Oh, and it died. I want to create something a little more complex. Let's make something classical. Suggestions? This is going to illustrate something interesting, but is my prediction. Classical? Classical? Anybody? A composer? Give me a composer and a genre. Dvorak? Yes. I'm just going to put Dvorak. Okay? Dvorak, and what kind of ensemble? Okay. So I'm going to say make a it's not going to do a whole symphony, but let's make a first movement exposition of a symphony in the style of Antonin Dvorak. Anything else I want to tell it? As a sequel, yes, to the New World Symphony. It's not going to know what that is, but let's find out. A sequel. This time it's personal. Okay, and it's instrumental, and kind of curious, what if it's not instrumental? Here we go, create. And don't worry, our class has more substance than just Dr. Welty playing around with an AI. So, don't worry. Oh, cool. It picked up the word world and decided to put world in there. Oh, that's not ethnocentric at all. Not at all. Okay, here we, oh, wow. That's the world. Okay, here we go. It even made an image. Brutal. Do it. Do it now. Come on. Come on. It's freaking out is what's happening. Anyone ever watch Predator? Come on, kill me. Here we are. Okay. Okay. What? 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 What is this? I stopped it. I turned it off because I had enough. But do we have a point of reference for what New World Symphony sounds like? That's right. That's right. Yes. Here, just as a sample. Let me mute that for a second. I'll go to YouTube. Hold on a second. Let's do New World Symphony. And I'm gonna skip around so we can get the themes. Introducing. That's great. Just humor me for a second. I'm gonna skip around a little bit. Uh-oh. Skip ahead. Do dee 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 da. Skip ahead. Yes. Okay. Great. Cool. Great. Great. Do it again. Do it. Come on. Kill me. Do it, please. I need you. I need you right now. I need you right now. Play the thing. Okay, so not even close. Didn't even get the instrumentation. Why do you think that's the case? Why do you think there's an epic fail here? Because it wasn't really, I wouldn't call it an epic fail with the country music. The country music came out pretty fair. It sounds like something on the radio that throwaway, right? But how come this is like so not what we want? Anybody wish to conjecture? Can offer some.
Is it that the music is too complicated for it to be able to pick up parts to base it on?
Well, I want to be careful with complicated. I want to be careful with that term. Yes. I will say that its training data that it's brought in is largely pop music. But there's something about pop music production that if we're doing in Pro Tools or Logic that's optimized for certain machine learning procedures. Which is, as we see in our Logic sessions, that songs have a regular tempo. That songs typically are going to exist in one, perhaps two, at the most, keys. right? That they're going to follow similar chord progression patterns. Remember how in Logic we could just import a chord progression into the chord section, and there were a bunch of stock chord progressions? So all of that data can be quantified. We have the ability to generate algorithmic drum tracks that are based on like predictive, oh, okay, this is a pop rock style. It's going to have a kick on 1 and 3 and a hi-hat on the 8th notes and a snare on 2 and 4. It's going to have these procedures already kind of set forth. So my understanding of the state of AI pop music production at this moment is that it's actually generating all the tracks together with the same metadata that is like, this is the key, this is the chord progression, but this is how a bass is supposed to behave, and this is how drums are supposed to behave, and this is how guitars are supposed to behave, and this is, we already saw it had high favorability for male vocals, didn't it? It never produced female vocals. I didn't ask for gender, but it gave me gender anyway. Interesting. We're bumping up against a lot of topics here, but I just want to be careful with the language of complexity, right? Just because it can be abused, it can be misused. But you're not wrong at all, right? Because there is something that's happening in the Dvorak, where it's like, how are the cellos behaving? How are the flutes behaving? How's the percussion behaving? It doesn't have the regular periodicity of a Logic session. Do you see how Logic is optimized to give you a strict tempo throughout? You can change the tempo here and there, yeah. You can change as many times as you want. But that doesn't seem to be an apparent immediate affordance, right? The coffee's kicking in finally. So what I'm saying is that the music that's been put out there for the last 30, 40 years with click tracks, right? With devices like auto-tune, things are optimized to fit within very neat boundaries about what an appropriate key is, how a guitar should behave, right? How a singer should sound, how the melody should sit in the mix. But the classical stuff, and I'm not making any type of value judgment here. There's no value judgment here, by the way. The classical stuff has a much richer data set that has not yet been quantified properly within AI systems. Will it ever be? I'm not sure. Because keep in mind too, the AI pop music generation, is there anything to stop you, barring maybe a royalty contract or something on this site, is there anything stopping you from downloading this and then putting it on Spotify? There might be a contract with that specific AI generator where they either want you to pay a royalty up front or they want you to pay a subscription fee, right? But like, this is also how people are abusing like Spotify, where you can put up fake AI tracks with fake artists who don't exist, and then you can write a script to have a series of virtual machines basically keep playing those continuously, and then the money drops in your account. That's for educational purposes. Just to be very clear, that I'm not encouraging any kind of law breaking. But I'm saying like this is literally how it's done though. That's also the reason that there's I don't think I had the projector on. There was a 3-stage CAPTCHA that I had to do to generate the track to make sure I wasn't an AI agent. Because you could just have the AI go and make the tracks and then immediately upload them to the Spotify account and then just keep farming it. So wait a minute, we have so many ethical problems here, don't we? Because we can literally educational purposes. We can abuse the Spotify system. They put more resources into catching people. So I strongly encourage you not to do that. And they face hefty fines, if not jail time. Don't do it. But the source data, the artists were not compensated for it. So in a way, it's a type of intellectual property theft. It uses massive amounts of power and water to cool the servers, right? And then on the other hand too, you can just throw it up as AI slop onto Spotify and there's a chance that somebody will encounter it and listen to it. It's kind of interesting that like people were shocked when they realized like, you know, the Gorillaz is like one or two guys with just very clever marketing, right? It's in the same way like the Monkees was a fake band. And then Gorillaz was another step forward. Am I thinking of Miku? Who's the one I'm thinking of? Do you know what I'm talking about? Yeah, I'm getting nods. Yes. Where it's like completely fabricated and it's the fabrication is obvious. The fabrication is part of the appeal. Sure, fine. But no value judgment here. Just saying that there's a lot of AI slop that's up there and it's becoming more sophisticated, as you heard. Anyway, does that make sense? I have not been satisfied, and this is why I was playing with my Python libraries earlier, is because there's a software there's a Python library I talked about early in this class called Music 21 that had the ability to basically like parse music XML data to like make a score. I have been thoroughly not thrilled with ChatGPT or Llama, their ability, or Gemini, to produce XML that actually makes a meaningful score. Because the Music 21 will take the data and interpret it and then produce a MuseScore file, and it's really not great. So some of these things are more sophisticated than others. Obviously, they're more sophisticated in the way that the market favors. I'm gonna say that again. Obviously, they're more sophisticated in the way that the market favors. Make sense? Now, I point out these tracks. I want to tell y'all, like, do not be discouraged by these tracks, because the cracks in them can be heard. The cracks in them, the things that are inauthentic or fake, can be noticed. But also, I'm making a futurist prediction here. I don't see all of live performance being replaced, and I don't see the artistic process and the cleverness of recording sessions and the creativity being replaced. Because the AI is not making something new, it's only recreating what has come before. I'm gonna say it again. The AI is incapable of making something new. It can only mix and match things that have come before, which were all the fruits of human creativity and exploration. Okay, enough of that. Let's talk about logic. So let's go to our logic session. The final project is you making a piece of your choice. It can be a pop song. It can be a composition for a short film. You could make another film. You could use existing film online and take the sound out and do that. The choice is yours. Was anyone planning on doing the video game one? Because I can post yeah? Okay, I'll post a really crappy alpha and I'll put it on the class website, because I'm still playing around with it, but I'm gonna post like a garbage alpha version so that you have some concept of how it works, and it runs in the browser. So it's not a Flash game, of course not. I'm teaching myself Unity engine, and so we'll do that. So anyway, so what I was going to say was I want to talk about some effects, some plugins, some practices to get you started. Exploration is your friend. If you have a question about something, you can look it up on the internet and or reach out to me. So a couple features I want to talk about first is our ability to drop in MIDI information into Logic. I'm sorry, Pro Tools pilled Logic, right? So how do we do that? How do we bring in MIDI data? Let's say you want to reuse something you made in MuseScore and then bring it into Logic. How would you do that? Anybody? Ideas? Has anyone watched Seinfeld? Yeah, some people have seen Seinfeld. You gotta think like Art Vandelay. You gotta switch from the exporting to the importing. The importing. That's a really dumb joke. I go to import, and everything I need is gonna be in here. So let me go to MuseScore real quick and show this workflow. So I go to MuseScore. You don't have to do this, you can just hang out and watch. Remind me later. Let's do vomit exercise. Isn't that nice? That's great. So, no, I want to open something else. No, I don't want anything. Where's my stuff at? Where did I save it? I don't know where I saved it. Where did I save anything? Why, God? Aha. My masterpiece, the sequel. What's that one? Oh, sick. Okay, great. Yeah, this was a demo I just made. This time, it's personal. Yes, emphasizing my degree here, too. Fantastic. Okay, so let's import this into Logic. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put it somewhere easy to find. I'm going to put it on the desktop. Just easy to find. It's not going to let me upload it as a MuseScore file, but instead I need to export it, and I need to change it to something it can see. What were the formats that Logic could see? Well, let's go back to Logic and let's read them. Import. So Logic projects, obviously, another Logic project. A live loops grid, which is a Logic thing. And then we have audio file, MIDI file, music XML. Choose one. Not audio file. Don't choose audio file. Okay, let's do XML. Let's see what it does. Go here. Choose one, but not that one. I'm going to export my masterpiece, the sequel. This time it's personal, as a music XML file. I'm going to do main score. Let's see if we're successful. Put it on the desktop, and then we go back to Logic, and then we import music XML file. It's on the desktop, and it was my masterpiece, the sequel, MXL. Okay, it asked me, do you want to import the tempo, time signatures, the key signatures? And I'm like, heck yeah, bruh. There it is. Let's see how it did. Let's compare. Go away. Let's compare this playback to what Logic does. So let's hear this thing. Incredible. Wow. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to Logic. Look, it imported my tempo at 73 BPM. I didn't have any specific key signature, so it just kept it as C major because it was. Let's hear this playback. Dope. How frustrating. So we have MIDI data, but look, it imported these things. It named the tracks. I can't zoom in on that, but I have violin 1, violin, blah, 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 blah. But it didn't give me an instrument. Sometimes it's more or less successful with that. I'm going to show us another example. If you do it with Music XML, all you got to do is put an instrument on here. Because it's just MIDI information. It's not sound. Of course not. But now we're going to put an instrument on here. I have my violin 1 instrument. And doo-ba-doo-ba-doo-ba-doo-doo. Let's do studio strings. Yeah, sure. I want to open the library. And on this one, I want to put, where is it? Where is my mind? Studio violins. Aha! So it changed the name of it because it's the name of this, but let's hear this one. Ah! Lord have mercy. Okay. Great. It lives, right? I don't want that one. Here we go. This one. Let's do strings again. And we'll do Studio Violins 2 to make it sound a little different. Not because it's violin 2, but just because it's a different sound. Great. And let's hear those together. Slightly different sound. Viola! Viola! Have you guys seen that video? Viola. No. You know what? Let's make the cello a plucked synth. Yeah, dude. Okay. I can make it whatever I want. Cool. So, PS, I can access the score in Logic. What I did was I double clicked on this like I wanted to edit it. It opened the editor. And then with MIDI stuff, I have a score available. And I can see that part, or I can see all of them. Not all of them. You can't see all of them. How dare you? I can see the score here. Beautiful sine heart. That's great. And then I can make changes to it as if I was back in MuseScore. Pretty neat. To do that, I selected more than one, and then I opened it, and now I can see the whole score. And it brought over a lot of this information, because that's what an MXL file does. You can actually, like, edit the text of an MXL file. You can actually write music as, like, text coding if you really want to, because it's kind of like an HTML document, just as with music terms. And this was an attempt, again, to unify digital MIDI things. Okay, yay! And then you can go from there. But wait, there's more. If I go back here, let me go back to my Logic session and be like, I'm done with all of you. Yes, go away. And let me do this a slightly different way. I go back to MuseScore, and nice. I go back to MuseScore, and I'm going to export my masterpiece, the sequel, as a MIDI file. Put it on the desktop. Ba-doo-ba-doo-ba-doo-ba. Go over here. Import. MIDI file. My masterpiece, the sequel. Boom. Also import tempo information. This will replace the project's current tempo information in the range of the MIDI file. Yes. Consider that the sequencer tempo will get out of sync with any previously recorded audio tracks unless they are in flex mode. Yeah. Don't care, dude. All right, now let's hear it. Do you think it'll play? You think it's gonna make sound? Yep. I want to be clear here. I didn't assign instruments to those MIDI tracks. Logic took in the MIDI data. It saw an instrument number there because MuseScore gave it one. It said violins, it's going to be bank X, program X. And then when it came into Logic, it just recreated that and was like, oh, it's a violin. Okay, sure, violin 1. Does that make sense? Importing the MIDI file is a really quick and dirty way to get going with the sound here. And then you can still control the things the same way. But notice that the finer points of articulation have not been included. I'm gonna say that again. Notice the slurs, not there. The dynamics, Okay, that's a cool way to bring MIDI data from your compositions into here. Can you reuse something you did in MuseScore and drop it into Logic and then mix and master? Yeah, if you want to. If you like what you produced already, why not? Maybe you wrote a song in MuseScore and you could import those tracks and then just like record the vocals on it. Cool, man. Does that make sense? Okay. I don't want to run out of time. I want to talk about a couple more effects here. So I'm going to open a project that has digital audio, and I'm going to go back to Goldfish. Don't. Okay.
Love the way you swim.
Remember this masterpiece? It was so good. It was, yeah. Wow.
Oh, Hank, you are.
Okay, great. So I want to fix some of the vocals. We've talked about how to mess audio up, how to like mess up the audio playing with flex. But what if I want to do something a little more genuine and actually like fix the vocals, right? Because I did this in one take with like no water and no warm up, and let's say the client is just not going to produce a better track, right? So let's go in here and let's see if we can alter. Now I've already turned on flex mode and I'm in flex pitch. I've already turned it on, flex pitch. It's already quantified the pitch data. It snaps it onto a MIDI keyboard here. And whoa, let's find something really offensive here.
Oh,
Hank. Yeah, I was flat. It's okay. I'm not upset about it. Let's do set to perfect pitch. Let's hear the difference. Oh, it's that easy. Become a star overnight. No, I'm kidding. Am I though? So look, it's telling me, this information is telling me it's detecting a D, but I'm a little off. If I drag the whole thing, it's aha, now we're in the key. So do you see how the color scheme is working here? I'm grabbing onto the fine pitch. This is telling me I'm a little sharp. Flat, right on. Right on. Let's hear it. Whoa, Hank. It was like about here, wasn't it? Oh, yeah. I don't like it. I like it better where it was, right? So you can use this to repair the pitch. We can also change the pitch drift. Dude, let's hear it. Do it again. Do it again. Down here, make it scoop. Right? Can you do this for instruments? Yes, you can do this for any audio that you're bringing in to Logic. Now, keep in mind that if you pitch correct everything and make it sound all 100% snapped into pitch, eventually, here and there, fine. But if you do the entire track, it might come across as a little more robotic. This is different than like an auto-tune effect. There is a plugin that will do like snapping auto-tune, which is like the one that you hear T-Pain and other people using. This is more of a like post-production type of adjustment. Let's see if I like biffed it on any of these other ones here. Yeah, I don't like that one. No, that's fine. I accept that.
Yes, you were.
Whoa! Whoa! No, I want you. Totally normal.
Yes, you were.
Just a little cleaner. Just a little cleaner, right?
Love.
I love. No, I don't want, I want this note. It is that note. Because it was snapping me into the D sharp territory.
I love the way you swim in your bowl.
Yep. This is a hit, dude. This is...
Oh, Hank, the goldfish. I love the way you swim in your bowl. Why are you floating upside down?
Right? So, okay. So this is a way that you can repair vocals and make changes to them. You can even repitch them. So if you want to make Smash Mouth All-Star, but it's all chicken jockey, but it's also Rite of Spring, you can do that. So be my guest. Make sense? Yay. Okay. So let's talk about a couple of plugins real quick. I mentioned, I'm going to do it on this one. I mentioned, oh man, there's never enough time. So if I go to pitch, I have pitch correction, pitch shifter. Let's do pitch correction on this, and it opens up this little dog here. And basically, I'm not too far off on this vocal track, but you can basically, it doesn't give me any default, settings here. Let's do, wow, you can put it on a scale. I'm just gonna go major scale, the root. What key did I do this in? Did I do it in C? I didn't change it up here, so I'm not going to use that as a reliable piece. I did this in G, didn't I? No, maybe I did do it in C. I can't remember. It must be in G because the so. You are the goldfish. It is in G, yes, indeed. So I could put this root note major scale into G, and then. Oh, hey, you are my goldfish. Yes, you were. I love the way you swim in your bowl. Oh, hey. There you go. There you go. All I had to do was turn down the response time and turn down the tolerance. Turn down. Let me say that again. I had to turn down the response and turn down the parameter called tolerance. Yikes. Okay, here we go. Walked right into that one. You were my goldfish. Yes, you were. I love the way you swim in your bowl. Oh, hey. Oh, hey, the goldfish. Love the way you swim. I want to increase the gain. Hold on. Gain tool. Gain tool. Remember this? Remember? Do you remember? Do you remember? Crank the gain. Yeah. I love the way you swim in your bowl. Why are you floating upside down? Great. So if I go here, let me I'm gonna keep the silly auto tune, but I want to talk about giving things reverb and delay gives it space. It makes it sit in the mix. Right now, it's very like I'm singing at your face, and so I'm gonna use a tasteful amount of reverb and delay to kind of make the vocal stand out. And then we're gonna talk about compression. And oh my God, I wish there was more class time because there's so much. Oh, hey, the goldfish. I love the way you swim. Do you hear the difference? In your bowl. Why are you floating upside down? It's still really forward in the mix, but now it has a little bit of depth to it. Okay, I'm gonna leave that for now. I can fine tune that later. I'm gonna add a little bit of tape delay. I like the tape delay. You can use whichever one you want. I want you to experiment. You should experiment. And let's hear this again. Oh, hey, so that's a lot. And I'm gonna turn this down. I'm gonna turn off the tempo sync, which I'm now doing the delay time in milliseconds. I'm going through this really fast, guys, so just forgive me. You can play around with any one of these things. Are there presets? There are presets with time. There's also ultra dub. Ultra dub! Here we go. So notice, by the way, when I turned it down the wet mix, this one gives me the option to have dry and wet. Dry is unaffected. Wet is fully affected. So I'm now, instead of just making the mix either fully wet or fully dry, I have two controls. And then when I put the wet about here,
Why are you floating upside down?
let's solo it.
Oh, hey, the goldfish. I love the way you swim. Love the way you swim. Love the way you swim. Love the way you swim.
Maybe like that. It's a possibility. Maybe I don't want to use ultra dub. Let's go back to default. And here's a suggestion. I'm going to make it more of a slapback.
Love the way you swim. Love the way you swim.
Almost all of the Killers records are like with this like vocal slapback with Brandon Flowers. Like almost all of them have this immediate delay. It's right there.
Love the way you swim. Love the way you swim.
Here it gives it a weird depth, right? That with the reverb gives you something interesting. I am flying through this material, by the way. So just, yeah, this is food for thought, things to experiment with. By the way, it's common practice these days, and many other days, to actually record a lead vocal track twice or more and then stack them and make some of the other takes quieter. You want them to match up enough so it's going to sound like they're together. But if you listen to a lot of like 80s recordings and listen carefully to the vocal, you will hear the doubled vocal in the mix. Now that you're aware of it, you're definitely going to hear it now that I've said that. But it's common practice to thicken it. Are they going to be at the same volume? No. It's going to be kind of a cascading effect where some of the other ones are quieter behind the main vocal take, and you can just mix them, maybe pan them a little differently to have a stereo field effect. You can experiment with that. People also stack guitar tracks. People don't stack bass tracks, and they don't stack drum tracks. That's highly irregular. But stacking vocals, like a lead vocal, the same exact part. I don't mean backup vocals. I mean the same exact part. Make it quieter. Do that. Yeah. Okay. Great. I also recommend that you put a compressor. What is a compressor in digital audio? Now this is not what I mean by MP3 compression. That's file compression. That's a digital thing completely. What do I mean by an audio compressor? Anybody wish to? Let's look at the behavior of compressor and figure out what it's doing. So I'm going to put a compressor on here. Dynamics, compressor, stereo, and check it out. I feel like I'm in the studio now.
I love the way you swim.
Wait a minute. Okay, here, let me get this out of the way so we can see a little more clearly. Make these taller, zoom it in. I have a question for you. Let me see here. When does the meter start to act the most? Watch carefully. And we're just on the vocal track soloed.
I love the way you swim.
When did the needle move the most? Yeah? This big old one? Yeah? Watch again.
I love the way you swim in your bowl.
Yeah. When that note is held out, the waveform is bigger, needle move more. Waveform big, needle move, right? So, what's the compressor doing? Well, minus 10? Is it going down? Yes. The compressor is different from automation. It is not volume automation. It's a device that's taking in the audio and basically turning down the audio once a certain threshold is reached in terms of like decibel volume. The effect of this is basically quieting down the louder parts of the track, but then also raising the volume of the quieter parts of the track. compression can be used for a lot of things, and the rabbit hole is very deep with compression, because you can make drums and bass pop in the mix with various compressor features. You can also use it just to even out a track in a way that's not automation. So some of the things we can play with here, by the way, it's going to color the sound dramatically. So I'm going to repeat this thing. It's going to sound annoying, but hear me out. Man, crash course. Okay, here we go. Now, Logic has some presets that are going to behave a little differently. It's not just a GUI change. It's actually like a behavior change. And these are with the presets. Of course, we can change these. Let's hear how it changes the sound. In fact, let me turn off the effects. Keep the pitch correction because it's hilarious. So delay and reverb are bypassed right now.
Of the way you swim in your bowl, 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 of the way you swim.
So you see, it's actually turning down the audio right here. Do you see it behaving?
Of the way you swim.
This is gauging where it is.
In your bowl, of the way you swim in your bowl.
Bypass.
Of the way you swim in your bowl, of the way you swim in your bowl, of the way you swim.
Bypassed.
In your bowl,
On.
of the way you swim.
So it's not just that it's louder, but you hear some of the other things too. Let's hear that in the mix with everything. Let's unsolo this dog, and I just want to hear the same section.
Of the way you swim.
No compression, just pitch.
In your bowl, of the
Way you swim.
in your bowl, of the way you swim in your bowl, of the way you swim in.
Okay, so I don't love the complete mix right now, but the vocal is so much fatter and so much more present, isn't it? The other tracks now sound thin. I don't want to EQ them because we really haven't mixed very much at all. We're just slapping a compressor on there, playing with some of the things. I just want to say this really fast. The threshold is how loud does something have to be for it to kick in. The ratio is how much is it going to compress. The makeup gain is adding volume back on the end. Attack is how fast it goes and releases when it turns off. Auto is fine for our applications where it automatically detects things like that. So, oh my God, there's so much information with compressors. It's an extremely deep topic, but I literally want you to play around with it. For your final project, if the mix isn't perfect, I'm not taking points off. I want you to attempt to play around with getting the sounds to work together. That also includes equalization. Let me add an EQ on here. EQ, channel EQ, yeah.
Of the way you swim in your bowl, 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 of the way you swim in your bowl.
I like this a little better where I've turned up this frequency right here, right? Do it to taste. Do it to taste. It is, I'll probably upload another video. I don't have time today to talk about sidechain compression because that would be useful to many of you. Sidechain compression is imagine you have one sound, best way to describe it. let's say we have a kick drum and a bass guitar going at the same time. Imagine if you wanted the bass guitar to turn down a little bit every time the kick drum kicked. Because you can imagine low frequencies altogether are going to be muddy. Sidechain compression is how you would do it. I'll make a video about that because we do have a sidechain feature that's very helpful here, but I'll make a video about that because that's a separate topic completely. Wow. With EQ, some people will do a low cutoff, this guy down here, in order just to clean up the mud on the mix because you don't want it to be too muddy. I would only use this one over here to cut off the very high ends if there's like an annoying buzz or something happening in the mix. I gotta say one more thing because I knew I would. If you want to use this microphone, which you can use it. I'm gonna talk really fast because we're out of time. Talk really fast. So what I want to say is on this microphone, it's a condenser microphone. It requires power. It means that your M box has to have plus 48V enabled. And then this dog has 0 and negative 20 dB. If you have something particularly loud, you can reduce the volume of the incoming signal. And it has this dog, which basically is like a little shelf and then attenuated. It's because every microphone in the world, because of the physical universe we live in, every microphone has a bass boost if you just get closer to it. So if you're doing something right here, you should have the cutoff on so that it's not boomy and big. And then you'll just make an audio track, make sure it's routed properly. It's plugged into the first mic input with the XLR cable. And that's all I have to say about that. Does that make sense? You can review this video for later. If you need help, please reach out. I'm going to be around. Okay, that's all for today. Stop the video.